We're on the bottom of Daf Dalet Amud Beis, the last line. So back to the Mishnah. We're done. I'm sure, much to everyone's relief, we're done with the Yeshem L'Mikra, Yeshem L'Mesaira, and we're back to Sanhedrin. Tanu Rabbanan, Dine Mamas B'Shloisha. The din of our Mishnah was that you need 3 dayanim for Dine Mamas. V'imhaya mumcha l'rabin, and if he's someone who's a mumcha, afilu yichidi, even one is enough. Now, this is where is this coming from? So this is going according to the Mandamar on Daf Dalet Amud Aleph. We said it was a Gimel Amud Aleph. Racha Breder Avika, it was Gimel Amud Aleph. That he said that midaraisa you only need one, and it's the Chacham Mul Mesaken, you should have more. Right? Okay, so we're going in that Mandamar.
But even on that, where the Rabbanan said you need 3, the Rabbanan held if there's a mumcha, then one is enough.
Right. So yes, he can do it by himself. So we're talking about the dafka Haidois v'halvois. We're not talking about Gzelis v'chavolis. According to Taisus, Don afil yichidi v'yachal lachav v'sa'adam bal korchay di b'dekabla yiluya v'shein mumcha nami mekan nestam gimel yichal lana sa'adam bal korchay. But yeah,
It's interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to talk later on if they're makabel a bezdin on them of less. Yeah. In any case, so this is the din that we're saying. Yeah, this is and if you look, there's the little aleph that the Rambam brings this lahalacha. That lahalacha, even that a mumcha is enough to paskin. So this is all Ravacha. Like we said, this is Ravacha Beravika. Obviously, we must paskin like him. And again, Ravacha Beravika was only talking about Haidois v'halvois. He wasn't talking about Zel Chavol. So this din also is limited to Haidois v'halvois. But it means if 2 people agree to go to a dayan, we listen to him. If he's a mumcha. Now we have to clarify. There's going to be 3 concepts here. First of all, is the din of smicha, which you need for a Sanhedrin, for dinim, for exact for certain dinim, like we talked about. We spoke about the dafke egla arufa and a dinim legabi the borders of Eretz Yisrael, such things. So that you need smicha from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, and this expired about 1,500 years ago. When the Yidden, you can only have smicha in Eretz Yisrael. There was a big to do about this about 500 years ago at the time of Rabbi Yosef Kairi, that they try to reinstate smicha because for many hundreds of years there were insufficient Yidden in Eretz Yisrael to have smicha. They lost the yish of Eretz Yisrael, but when they came back to Eretz Yisrael, I think it was Maribe Rav, who wanted to restart smicha in Eretz Yisrael, and it became a tremendous controversy. In the end, it didn't happen, so therefore we don't have a Sanhedrin. But that's one thing. The second thing is what we're talking about over here, which is a mumcha, someone who's very knowledgeable. So he is qualified to paskin dinei haidas avois, and we're going to soon see. Is that there also is a din of netilas rishus if people want to paskin. There was a din you had to be neitel rishus from the Reish Galusa or from the Nasi in Eretz Yisrael, depending on where you were. But these are 3 separate tracks, so let's not confuse them. Amr of Nachman, Kagoina no don dine mamna biyachidi. Says I am considered a mumcha that I can be done dine mamnas by myself. Kaina Rav Kaina don dine mamnas biyachidi. Iboilu Kagoina no the gamirna that I am very knowledgeable. The savirna, and I also have a good analytical head. I'm able to make svaras and understand the reasons for things. Right? Gamirna means just amassing knowledge. But that could be, without any, just knowing things, but without having an understanding. So if you both know and you understand the svaras, but nakitna reshusa, and because I got reshus, meaning I was netel reshus from wherever he was. He was, I think, in Eretz Yisrael, so he got from the Nasi. Avaloinag reshusa diolav dinah. But without Nikitas Rishos, you don't have the authority to paskin a din. Or is it's still okay as long as you have the prerequisites of being a mumcha, of being knowledgeable and knowing how to paskin. It doesn't make a difference whether you got you were authorized by the leader, by either the Nasi or the Reish Galusa. So the Gemara wants to bring a raya. Toshma, the Mazutra Beider of Nachman, Don Dina. No, Mazutra Beider of Nachman, Paskan the Din. We're talking about again these same dinim of Hodos Valvos. The Tah, and he made a mistake. Also, the Kameder of Yosef, and he came to Rav Yosef Amalei in Kiblucha Layu Leitishlam. If the parties agreed that you should paskin, then you don't have to make good. There's no liability for you as the dayan to make good on your psak. But if not, then you are liable. You made a mistake. You caused a hefsid, so you have to pay back the person who's aggrieved. So shmami no kilei naket rishusa dina dina. So you see from here that the only nafkamina is going to be if you didn't get rishus of whether you have to pay, but his din, as long as it's a correct din, has the status of a psak. Because if it didn't have the status of psak, it wouldn't come to the question. I mean, you would say it's in like kiblucha alayu, then it's no din at all. So shmamina kalinaka rishusa dina dina shmamina. The Gemara says einachanami.
So even though that this is Rav Acha Ravika, who said earlier that it's the Rabbana made the three,
right,
and you have to pay. In other words, you're mechuyev to pay if you messed up, because otherwise, like it would definitely.
We asked the question the other way around there. The question over there was if it's. I think the question, if the way I remember from Daf Gimel, was if it's allowed. So why does he have to pay?
Right.
If he makes a mistake, if he's not mumcha.
Right.
So he said the din was that was only we were asking on if he's not a mumcha over there, right? That was Daf Gimel.
Because it wasn't a mumcha.
We were being machalik. We said, what was the word? Right? We said you need.
No, we said you need. We said
you need a mumcha. I'm sorry. Because you need a mumcha. You don't. So we said, but let me see. So we said that Rav Acha Ber Davika holds you only need one, but initially, because of Yoshvei Kronis, we're worried about having shvacha people.
You need three people. So then we said that you shouldn't have to pay because you have a shus, just like
Elameata Tola Yishalmu. So
right.
that someone who is not a mumcha.
So why are you adding in?
What does he have to pay if he makes a mistake? And here we're talking about mumchas.
Right, but I'm saying, but if it's a continuation of the din, I really only need one. But because of the Rabbanan Seisha Dino, and you need to have three. And therefore, even though Midaraisa you don't pay, the Dayanim don't pay, here in this case you do.
So but the point is the Chacham were Misakin, they were Misakin two things. They're Misakin that you need a mumcha, but in order that you shouldn't have Yoshvei Koronis, they wanted to have an incentive that the person should be sure he's making the right din. They said you're going to be liable, even though it was saying you could be done without mumcha, as in Nilas Dels.
He's saying logically, now, in our case, if it's
but now we're on a separate track now about the Yoshvei Neitel Rishus. It means a judge can be tripped up both on mumcha, and that we've decided that a mumcha is sufficient. Even a mumcha can do it, but he's going to be liable. But then there's another thing that he has to get the authorization. He has to get the plumber. He has to get the rishus from the head of government. basically has to get a license. And that's that's more a matter, I think, of control, of keeping things under control rather than determining how competent he is. So Shemami, Einachanami. Amarav, Haiman de Boile made in Dina. V'ta mi boilim ifter. If someone wants to be done a din and he wants to be potter from paying, lishkul rishusa mi bei rish galusa. You should get rishus from the rish galusa. V'chein amar shmuel lishkul rishusa mi bei rish galusa. Okay, this is just reiterating what we just said. It is clear if someone's in Bavel, hacha, and he gets rishus from the reish galusa, umehasam, and he gets and he wants to paskin in Bavel, umehasam lahasam, he gets rishus in Eretz Yisrael from the nasi, legabi paskining in Eretz Yisrael that it's going to work, umehacha lahasam mahani. And similarly, from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, if one gets rishus from the Reish Galusa, that will be valid. That will have, it's like going from with a driver's license or a U.S. passport. A US dollar works everywhere. So the plumber from Bavel works in Eretz Yisrael. Because Bavel has a din of a shevet, I think Lo Yasser Shevet Mi Yehuda, and over there and Yasser Chayik Mi Bein Raglov, and Rashi says Shevet Loshen Shrara. There's V'yesh Lahen Rishus Lahafkir. They have Rishus of Tefke Bez and Hefke. D'chsev Chol Asher Yavai. So they have a din. Someone who has the Shevet of Bavel, he has a din of Hefke Bez and Hefker, and so once he has that Rishus, it's good for everything. But Mechaykik, Rashi says, is Shrara Muetes. Mechaykik is a lesser authority. Yetz Yisrael was not as settled as Bavel. The main centers of learning were in Bavel, as we know, in Pompadisa, and what was it?
Surya,
right? So we know that so there it certainly works in that direction. That they are Shurara of Eretz Yisrael with the full authority. These are the Talmidim of Hillel that learn in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, the Shevet is stronger than the Mechaykik. I think it's also I haven't seen this, but it seems to me the Lashon, the way it's read, they impose authority with a stick. Is more like a symbol that they learn, but not with the same force behind it. But in any case, that's so mehasam lahachamai. But what's the din? If someone gets rishus in Eretz Yisrael and he comes to Bavel, is that sufficient? Toshma, the Rabbi Bachana don't dina. Rabbi Bachana learned the halacha. V'ton, he made a mistake. Also, he came to Rechia. If the people, the parties, agree to use you as a dayan, then you don't have to pay because since they basically forfeited any claims against you. But if not, since you are essentially from Eretz Yisrael with a shrara from Eretz Yisrael, rishus from Eretz Yisrael, and you're doing it in Bavel, so you're going to have to pay. Rabbi Bachana Rishusa have a knocket. Rabbi Bachana did get Rishus in Eretz Yisrael. Shema mina mehasam lahacha loy mahani. Shema mina. Einachanami. Coming from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel is not going to absolve you from a dayan from liability if he turns out to make a mistake. Obviously, unless the parties agree, then in that case they themselves have contracted out of the right to get paid back. In fact, the Marav Mahani is the true of Rabbi Bar Huna. When Rabbi Bar Huna was arguing with the people in the Reish Galusa's house, and Rabbi Bar Huna came from Eretz Yisrael, and Reish Galusa, the Bei Reish Galusa were in Bavel. I didn't get my rishus from Bei Reish Galusa. I got from my father, Abba Mari. So this is Rabba bar Rav Huna. He got from Rav Huna. Rabba Mari may Rav. Rav Huna got from Rav. Rav may Rav Chia. He got from Rav Chia. Rav Chia may Rebbe. And Rav Chia got from Rebbe. So you see, he was trying to say, why do I have to listen to you? I have a better rishus, because I have from my father who has this whole yichus in Eretz Yisrael. So you see, Vaistais, he held that the Eretz Yisrael rishus was stronger than the Reish Galus rishus. So Gemara says no, he wasn't trying to say, like, and technically that I have rishus. He was arguing with them that I have a very prestigious background, and therefore I'm right. But it wasn't saying a din halacha that he can't be reversed if he makes a mistake, that he's not liable. Rabba Barchana Rishusa Denokat Lamale. Right, we said Tashma Rabba Chana Don Dina V'Tah, and he came to Rav Chia. He said, if Kablucha, not yes, if not, not. So Rabba Barchana got Rishus right before he went to Bavel, and when he came to Bavel, he was told basically, your Rishus is worthless over here in Bavel. So the Gemara asks, why did he bother getting Rishus? And for some reason, the Gemara assumes that it wasn't that he had Rishus and was using it in Eretz Yisrael before he came. We're talking about where he got it right before he came, which I think seems to be indicated from the Gemara a little bit later on. So the Gemara, he wanted it because he was traveling, and there were certain towns that on the way that was still in Eretz Yisrael, where the Rishus that he got in Eretz Yisrael would still be valid. My Rishusa. How did he get Rishus? When he was going to Bavel, Amalei Reb Chia l'Rebbe. Reb Chia said to Rebbe, this is all in Eretz Yisrael, Ben Achi Yair l'Bavel. The son of my brother is going to Bavel. Yaira. Does he have a din of Yaira that he could paskin halachas of Yairadeya, right? And halachas of basically non-dinim mamnas halachas. He said, Yaira, I'm giving him rishus to be Yaira. Yadin. He asked, can it be Dan and dinim mamnas? He said, yes. Yater b'chayris, a very important halacha back then in these times, was that a person who had a b'char, until it got a mum, would be usher to it would be kaddish as a b'char. It would have to be as a carbon. Once it got a mum, then you could be paid it and use the animal. So
This is after the korban?
So even after the Churban, I think that I think after the Churban there was still a requirement that it was still the Asr until it got a mum. Yeah, it didn't. There was no difference. You couldn't. Obviously, there was no opportunity to bring it as a carbon, so it was just left in limbo. This b'char, what are you going to do with it? So you waited for it to get a mum, so you could use the animal.
So the same thing applies nowadays?
I think it does. I think there's like something you do by selling a portion of the animals to a guy. I think that's the way around it. You know anything about this, Lizzie?
No.
I seem to remember something like that it still applies, and they get around it. But I'm not 100% sure. I thought that, like, they sell like a millionth of a percent of a flock of a herd to a guy, and then all of the animals are mutter from Bechar. Yeah. Is it only in Eretz Yisrael? I don't know. I don't know what it currently is. Yeah, for sure. So he said he also gave him the rishus to decide whether Bechar has a mum. When Rav was going to Bavel, not Rav, we just said Rav Barchana, now we're talking about Rav. Amalei Rav Chia l'Rav, l'Rebbe. Rav Chia said to Rebbe, Ben Achoisi Yair l'Bavel, the son of my sister is going down to Bavel. Yaira, Yadin, Yater b'chayris, al Yater. Rebbe said that Rav he could do the other things, he could paskin everything except for the b'chayris. The Gemara is going to explain in a minute why b'chayris are different. But before we get to that, the Gemara asks, why did he call Rabbi Bar Chana his brother's son, and Rav he called my sister's son? And if you'll say that that's just the way it was his nephews, and one was from his brother, and one was from his sister. Mar said, Evu Bechana v'Shila umarsa v'Rechia kula b'nei Abba bar Acha Karsel amikafri Hava. These were all the siblings of Rav Chia and the children of Rav Acha Karsla, and Evu and Chana were Chana is a man. Evu and Chana were two brothers, and they were the parents of Rabba Bar Chana, right? That was Rav. Rav was the son of Evu, and Rabbi Bar Chana was the son of Chana. And then those are two brothers. Now, why did he call Rav, since he was also his brother's son, why did he call him his sister's son? So Gemara, Rav bar Achva dahava bar Achse. Rav was the son of his brother, who was also the son of his sister. That means they were Rav Chia had a stepbrother and a stepsister. That means from a second marriage of his parents, and they married. That means Chana married his father's second wife's other child, and that's why, and that who happened to be Rav Chia's sister, and therefore that's that he was both a son of a brother and a son of a sister. And Rav Bar Chana bar Achva d'la bar Achse. I'm sorry, Rav was both, and Rav Bar Chana was not. That's one teretz. Al Shem Chachmase. Rav was called Bar Achse, the daughter of his sister. Rav was a tremendous chacham, so he called it the son of my sister. But now the Gemara comes back. Now makes the question even stronger. Why was Rav, if Rav was a chacham, why was he restricted from paskening on the mumin in a bechar? Yater b'chayres al yater, my time. What's the reason? We just said that he was a great chacham. You're going to say it's because Rav, even though he was a chacham, he knew a lot, but he didn't know the actual physical characteristics of what a mum was. You need a permanent mum in order to pater a bechar, and he didn't know which mum was a permanent mum. Rav said, I spent 12 months in the fields with a shepherd, to see which was a mum kavua and which was not a mum iver. I wonder if a mum kavua is something that kills you within 12 months. Maybe that's why he had to go for 12 months. If it lasts for a year, then it's
18 months.
It's 18 months? Okay. So, I'm sorry, he says 18 months. Yeah. I know. So maybe 18 months is the amount. So tomorrow, the reason why he did it, it's very interesting. Rashi says, look at the Rashi on the second. Since they wanted Rabbi Chana to get covered in Bavel, he stopped Rav from getting this chashivas of being yatir b'chayris ilu l'Rav hanihi be'yaka b'lav hachi. Rav was so chashiv he was going to get chashivas. So in order to boost Rabbi Bar Chana, Rebbe took away covered from Rabbi Bar Chana. I see it falls like you have to treat everyone fairly. Everyone gets what they deserve. How can you like it wasn't his children. This is halacha. This is you got to do what you got to do. There's no room for hard feelings on these things. Another interesting shot, which is again it seems counterintuitive. Since Rav was so knowledgeable in mumin, v'shari mumin delo yadi idshi, he would be mater mumin that people were not aware of. They would say he made such a chiddush din, and he was mater v'asul mishrei mum over. and they'll come to be matter even a temporary mum, which we're going to see. We're going to see later in the Gemara that there is such a concept that you have to. The reason for the yaira and yadin is for practical reasons. We have to make sure, not necessarily the shimush, which we still have now, right? The Rav is supposed to get smicha. He has to have shimush. Is more for the practical. A person could decide for himself how much he knows and if he's learned it enough. But to know how to paskin practically is a different thing. So Rav, because of his great knowledge, might have said things that were misleading, which we're going to see is a consistent theme in this Gemara. Zok the Gemara. Yaira. If a person knows halacha yigamer reshus alamali lemishkal, if that's true that a person is knowledgeable, why does he need reshus? Where does this come from? This thing that you need reshus from the Reish Galusa or from the. So it wasn't just a licensing scheme. It was put in for practical reasons. But if the person knows, if he says I'm knowledgeable, what do you need someone else to confirm that? Because of a case, the Tanya Rebbe went somewhere. He saw people were kneading their dough with tumah. Even though b'derech klal, there's no problem with a person stamazay having tumah, but many people were noyig to be careful, like we had all the way back in brachas, I think, was Shabbos, that people are noyig to keep covered or to keep Tyra year round and everything. And these were people that would be makbid, but he saw they were kneading their dough with tamei kalim. Why are you doing this? Someone came here, and he taught us that this dough was made with meibitzayim, with water from a marsh, from standing water, from a puddle, and he told us that meibitzayim is not machshir. If you mix it with eichel, with flour, it doesn't make it hochshel l'kabel tumah. So even though we were doing it in kalim tmeim, but this dough was not capable of becoming tumah because we never added water that could make it machshir l'kabel tumah. Who made bayim darish lahu? But there's no such din. There's no such thing that different types of water are not machshir. Every type of water is machshir l'kabel tumah. What he told them was that if you use eggs with your dough, with your flour, that is not considered a liquid to be machshir at l'kabel tumah. So the inu savar meibitzayim kama, and they thought that it was meibitzayim, was marsh water. V'to nami baha, and they also made an additional mistake. Mei karmion umei fega, the waters of the river Karmion and the waters of the river Fega, Apsulan, are puzzle to be used for mei chatas. Neshehein mei, they thought mei bitzayim because they're marsh water. Since they're puzzle to be used as mei chatas, which because you need, as we're going to see, the Gemara is going to say you need mayim chayim for mei chatas. So we thought that since it's not considered water to be added to the afar paraduma, and to be machshir people, it also is not considered water legabe when you add it to eichlin to be machshir lekabel tum. The loy, and it's not true. Hasam l'inichatas being in mayim chayim. The two things are not related. There was two mistakes that they made. First of all, they didn't understand. They thought he was talking about mei b'tzayin, and he was really talking about mei be'im directly. And it was built on top of a second mistake that since they knew that this water from these swamps, the standing water, was not able to be used with mei chatas, they thought that it's not considered water, and therefore it's not machshir flour. The loy hasam l'chatas being a mayim chayim hachashura koldu machshiri. Well, agabe being machshir food to be hochshel l'kabel tumah, any kind of water is good. Tana, they learned. But Isa Shah Gazru, Talmud al Yorel and Kain Noitel Rishus me Rabbi. You have to get Rishus because obviously you have to make sure that the person conveys his halachas in a clear way so you don't come to this kind of problem. So this is again, like what I was saying, there was in addition to the knowledge, a person has to know how to teach the halacha in a way that the person won't make a mistake. Tanchum, let's just go another couple of minutes. Tanchum made the Rav Ami ikala chasar. He came to chasar. Darslu mutter lilsas chitim bepesach. It's mutter to soak wheat on Pesach and then quickly grind it and make it into matzah. And it's because you can do it before it becomes chametz. Amalei lav Rav Mani de Minsur Ika Hacha. Is it Rav Mani who's your Rebbe over here? The Tanya Talmud al Yara Halacha b'Makom Rabbi. Halacha is a Talmud is not allowed to be Meira Halacha. You can't say there's a fourth thing. This is a general rule that a Talmud cannot be Meira where his Rebbe is. Unless he's 3 parsois, which is a fair distance away. Yisrael, the same way that Moshe Rabbeinu was outside of Machne Yisrael, 3 parsois, so that's the minimum that you have to be from a Rebbe before you could paskin. He answered, I'm sorry, I didn't know. If I would have known my Rebbe was here, I never would have paskin. He saw someone standing in the base of Kvaros. Are you not the son of a Kayin? In. He says, yes, that's my father, but my father had straying eyes. He was not a faithful man. Nothing ain't a begrusha. He was born a grusha, and he became a chalal, and therefore his children are chalalim. They're not kahanim. They don't have the dinei kahuna. So this is the Gemara. It seems like an odd thing to stick in here, but the Gemara, I think the Yerushalmi explains, and the Mefarshim explain that this is also, he was paskening, it was the same sort of case where he was near his Rebbe and he wasn't aware of it. The same I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Rashi says that over here he was telling him, he was about to be over, so he thought he had to stop him. He wasn't paskening halacha, he wasn't after paskening halacha, but rather he was coming to avoid issa. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop here. I believe we're gonna. I don't believe we're gonna be. Slight possibility we could learn tomorrow, but probably not. But we'll see. I'll try to send a message out tonight. B'li neder.
All right.